Okay, what we have here is the desktop of Fantasy Grounds with the character creation menu set up. Now, if you don't get character creation straight away, what you do is you click on your PC and then you go to character selection, and you won't have a character here yet. So what you're going to do is you're going to add a character, and then with any luck the character creation menu will come up. If it doesn't, the place to go is the library. Click down here in the library and you will click create PC, and that will give you the character creation, and you'll also need the notes, so check that box too. You probably won't need spells unless you're making a spell casting character, but that's fine. What we'll do next is we'll close that and we will go to our PC, and you create a character by clicking add item. All right. So this is the character sheet. Your character name will go here, your character class and level will go here, background, race, and then all the other information will get filled in. Now the important thing to do here first is to get the abilities. You do your abilities first. Okay, so we're going to roll a number. The abilities have a score between 3 and 18. Now you won't have any 3s and you won't have any 18s, because if we look at the notes, you'll see that there are character creation notes. So open this, double click it, and you can close that away now, and you can see that the character creation says you must use the standard array. Okay, so it says place, that's a spelling mistake, I'll fix that. Place 15 in your class base stat and 14 in the next most important. Okay, so now before you add your stats, you want to have a think about what classes you want to use. Now race isn't such a problem, but classes is where you're going to put your most important stat, your biggest number, your 15, and probably your 14. So you want to check your wizard, fighter, rogue, cleric, ranger, paladin, or bard. These are the classes we're going to have for our starting characters. So we're keeping it simple, and that means that these classes have been around a while and a lot of people have played them. You get plenty of information on them. And we'll create one of these. So let's imagine we'll do the first one, the wizard, because it's quite complicated. We're going to have to pick spells. So let's have a look. If I go to classes in this box, here it is, classes, you can see that I have a whole bunch of classes. Now you can get rid of basic rules. In fact, I might get rid of that. Get rid of so select the ones from the player's handbook, not the basic rules. And you'll notice that there are more classes here than I have on the list. That's okay. We'll worry about those some other time. At the moment, I want you to choose one of these. Now, we're thinking about a wizard, but just to take you through the classes, the fighter uses weapons to hit stuff. Really is the line of defense between the spellcasters, the soft guys in the party, and the enemy. A rogue is your clever character, can pick locks, disarm traps, very good at that kind of stuff, but also can do a sneak attack, which is very powerful in the right situation. Otherwise, a relatively soft character, can't wear armor to be effective. Fighter gets to wear armor. Wizards can't wear armor. A cleric can wear armor and cast healing spells, so a very useful character. A ranger is a kind of expert in the countryside, doesn't get lost easily, uses bow and arrow, is very good at ranged weapons, that kind of thing. Again, quite a soft target, won't generally use heavy armor. A paladin might well use heavy armor and can do a little bit of spell casting. The bard is someone who is kind of like an all-rounder, can do a bit of fighting, can do a bit of spell casting. Probably won't wear heavy armor, but is a useful character. Very useful for keeping the party going. So you can choose any one of these. So if you think wizard is a specialist spellcaster, the fighter, the rogue are non-spellcasters. The cleric uses divine magic, and the ranger, paladin, and bard are kind of semi-spellcasters, semi-fighters. So well worth having a think about those, but you can read the description, so let's go and have a look. If you click on wizard, you can read a description. You've got the full description from the player's manual in this box. All right. So I'm just going to speed through this because you want to get your wizard set up as quickly as possible, really, and you can go and read this stuff later. So if you're going to set up a wizard, you need to go to the quick build. Now, all the characters have a quick build setting, and you can look here. You can make a wizard quickly by following these suggestions. First, intelligence should be your highest ability score. Okay, so our highest ability score is 15. Slap that into intelligence. Okay. Followed by constitution or dexterity. Well, constitution sounds pretty good, so we'll put that in. We'll talk about what these stats do in a minute, but it'll all become clear eventually. And then we'll put, since it said dexterity, we'll put 13 into dexterity. So there's our first three stats, the three biggest ones, in place. Now you just click on the box and put the number in. All right, then we have 12, 10, and 8 to divide. Well, we might have 12 for wisdom. You never know when it comes in handy. Strength doesn't seem that important for a wizard. There'll be other people in the party can do the heavy lifting, and we'll have a 10 for charisma. Charisma is about interactions with other characters. Okay, so that's good. I've got my full array. Now, strength is about lifting stuff and swinging weapons. Dex is about dodging and ducking and diving. Con is how tough you are, you know, how long you're going to last in a combat. It tends to affect your hit points and your armor class. Intelligence is how smart you are, usually affects spell casting and some investigative skills. Wisdom is how wise you are. Mainly it's used by clerics, and it's useful for avoiding spells and things, and detecting things, spotting things in your surroundings. And charisma is about building up a rapport with other characters. Doesn't necessarily mean you're very beautiful to look at, but it does mean that you find it easy to get on with other characters. So the bard, for example, will have a high charisma. Anyway, let's continue with our... Okay, now what we want to do here is stop there. We've got our abilities in. We've chosen them for the wizard. Now we're going to build a wizard. I'm going to put a name in for my character. This is the Great Dr. Hill. Okay. Now we're going to choose. We're going to do this in order. So the next thing you put in is your race. Race is the next important one. So we're going to do stats, then race, then background, then class. So we're going to do it this way. So we're going to put the race in first. Now the races check here. We're allowed humans, elf, dwarf, or halfling. Now an elf can be quite a handy wizard, so we're going to make our wizard an elf. So we click that away, and we'll pull up the races, wherever they are. There they are. And I'm going to just pick the player's handbook races. You see there's a few more to choose from, but we're going to keep it simple for our first game. So I'm going to choose elf. Now if I click on elf, I get a whole story about the elves. But the important thing is I look down here towards the bottom, and I get various different things with the elves. So I get abilities. My dexterity score increases by 2. Well, that doesn't seem very useful for a wizard. Maybe. So maybe I'm not so happy with that. Let's try a different one. What about human? If we go down to ability scores, ability score increase. Your ability scores each increase by 1, so I get an extra 1 for every one of my ability scores. That will take my intelligence to 16. That sounds pretty good. Let's check dwarf. Dwarfs generally don't strike anyone as particularly intelligent, I think, but I could be doing them a disservice. Your ability, constitution for dwarf. So you want your dwarf to be a fighter, maybe. Someone who's going to last a long time in a battle. And a halfling is going to be a ability score increase. Your dex increases by 2. So elf and halfling can increase by 2. So let's see what other options we have for elf here. There are some okay, forget the elf. We will do a human. So all you do for human, if you're going to decide on human, You grab that button there, hold down your left mouse button and drag it into race. And you'll see that everything automatically updates. If you want to have a look at what happened, you can look over here. So speed has been added into our abilities somewhere. Trait speed added and trait size added. So if we look at the notes, size is now medium. Speed has been placed at 30. See that? And then the extra point has been added to a various bunch of things. We also have abilities where we've got our languages. Now we can choose another language. What might be a useful language? Well, if you want to check out what languages are available, have a look here. There's a whole lot of them. I think a knowledge of Elven might be useful, so we're going to have Elven as well. Okay, so that's it for our race. Now we're going to go to background, and we're going to look at the background. We're going to put something into background, and if you look here, we've got, again, just choose the player's handbook list. You can take any one of these from the player's handbook. What sounds good for a wizard? Well, a kind of wizard's apprentice type would be quite handy. Let's see, sage might be handy. What does it say in the quick build? Choose the sage background. Well, let's do that. We'll just follow that one along, and we will stick the sage background in. What does the sage background get us? We get extra skills for Arcana and History. Now Wizard might get us those as well, so maybe Sage would be not doubling up on something. Let's have a look at what we get with Wizard. So skills, worth checking here. We'll have a look at skills. Choose two from Arcana, History, Insight, Investigation, Medicine, and Religion. So if we're going to get Arcana and History with Sage, we can choose another 2 of those 4, so that's fine. Let's go, we grab Sage, put it across into background. Okay, and we get another 2 languages to choose from. Next, so we can, to add a little bit of personality to our, let's go back to Sage here. We can add a little bit of personality to our character by rolling on the personality traits. So if we go to notes, see we have personality traits here. I'll just do one to show you. So if we have a table here, you'll notice that there's personality traits. So we'll just roll on it. We get a dice rolling. There's nothing I like more than a good mystery. We'll grab that and stick it in there. You just grab it by the eye and put it in. Okay? All right. So that's easy enough. And you can do that yourself for the rest of the things. Work out your alignment, and we'll worry about that other stuff later. So the last thing to do is put in our wizard. So we go to the class. We've got our wizard, and now we're going to roll wizard across to our class, and you'll come up with wizard level 1. Now you want to choose 2 skills that you didn't have already. So we got Arcana and History. So I think in this guy I'll choose Investigation and I'll choose Insight. The skills, there's a list. I'll show you how to use the player's manual in a minute, but we'll take those 2. Now what else does it say about the wizard? Let's have a look in the quick build. Quick build. It says first level spells for your spellbook: Burning Hands, Charm Person, Mage Armor, Magic Missile, Shield, and Sleep. The wizard gets a bunch of good first level spells. Also gets cantrips. So 1, 2, 3 cantrips. Now cantrips are spells that can be cast anytime, and the other spells, the first level spells, have to be a certain number per day. of spell slots. We'll cover this when we start playing because we'll take it slowly. But let's get our spells in. So we'll just take the ones that it says. So how do we do that? Well, what we go is we click on our Actions tab. And you'll see that there are spells here. We have 2 spell slots for our actions. Let's get the spells up. We go over here, click on Spells. And we can click here on Source for the wizard list. Wizard. And we can click here to pull up the cantrips, which is level 0. And I'm going to click here to just choose Player's Handbook. And what did it say? Choose Light, Mage Hand, and Ray of Frost. Okay, let's do that. So we just grab Light, put it in. Mage Hand, grab it, put it in. Ray of Frost, put it in. A lot of people like Firebolt rather than Ray of Frost. But more things are resistant to fire than resistant to cold, so maybe Ray of Frost is a good idea. Then we're going to go to our level 1 spells. So level 1, and we're going to choose, we get more of these, but we can't use them so often. So it says Burning Hands, Charm Person, Mage Armor, Magic Missile, Shield, and Sleep. So let's go Burning Hands. Think, and you'll see they just go into your box. Charm Person. What have we got? Mage Armor. Makes you a bit tougher in a fight. Mage Armor. We have Magic Missile, which is a brilliant spell. Do not make a mage that doesn't have Magic Missile. And then Shield. This is a reaction spell, I think. You can use it as your reaction. And then finally, Sleep. Now, if you're not happy with these, let's just have a look at what this thing over here does. But that's essentially your spells in. So we'll come back to that page in a little while. Now what we want to do is get our equipment sorted out. We don't start with very much equipment, but we'll put it in anyway. So let's have a look at what the wizard gets to start the game with. Equipment gets these proficiencies, various weapons. You'll see that the wizard can't use very many weapons. And here we get a quarterstaff or a dagger. Well, let's keep things at arm's reach with a quarterstaff. So we can click on the link for the weapon list. And here it is. Let's see what weapons we get. Weapon list, quarterstaff or a dagger. So I'm going to go to my quarterstaff, drag it into my equipment slot. And then I'm going to, that's all the weapons I'm getting. So that's pretty much all we're getting there. Let's see, armor, not much point opening up the armor, we don't get any. Adventuring gear, we might get some clothing here, so let's see. Component pouch or arcane focus, well, that might be in here. Component pouch, let's put that in. We only get one or the other, but let's, arcane focus. I think we take the arcane focus pretty much as read for druidic focus. Arcane focus, you can have an orb. How about that? You can edit this to be, the arcane focus that you want. Not a problem. Okay. A Scholar's Pack or an Explorer's Pack. We can go down to the Scholar's Pack. Equipment kits, Explorer's Pack. There we go. Or a Scholar's Pack. Well, why don't we have a Scholar's Pack? Somebody else can look after the other stuff. Just drop that in. And if you look into it, it gives you a whole bunch of stuff. And you don't really need to put these individually. We know that they're there, and you're going to rebuild your Scholar's Pack. And then tools, a spell book. Let's see, have we got a spell book? And you must have your spell book, and you must look after your spell book because that's where you write your spells. So that's your most important possession. And that's it. How much money do you start with? Let's see. That'll be your background. So let's go to the Sage background and see if we get anything else. So go to background. Sage background, and let's see what else we get with this. Can we get any stuff? We get extra equipment. We've got all this. Letter from a dead colleague posing a question you have not been able to answer. Well, you can write that into your notes section if you want. Down here you can put, let's see, can I even copy this? I can't copy it. I might be able to. It's only read only. So you just have to type that in, what the letter is. But this all builds a bit of a story for your character, and you've got 10 gold pieces. So let's go to the inventory and give yourself 10 GP. Keep your gold pieces lowercase. I put OP in there for some reason. GP. Keep that all lowercase because it'll work better in the game. Now, 10 gold pieces is going to be a lot of money in my game because I'm taking quite a lot of the money out of it. So value that 10 gold pieces. You get a feature of a researcher. It should already be in there. Researcher, you see. And then if you click on this, you get a description. All right. Well, that's your character pretty much set up. You can put some common clothes in if you want. If we go back to our class, we can pick wizard. If you go to the class, you've got you get a nice simple set of tables to come up here, wherever it is. There it is. Adventuring gear. Look for common clothes on here. A set of common clothes. Don't know. Let's have a look. Clothing, clothes. Clothes, common. There you go. Fire them in there into your inventory. Let's try our inventory. Common clothes. There they go. Someday you'll have some lovely robes as a wizard, maybe. Okay, now that's the character created. So all done. Nice and quick. I don't know how long this video is. I don't want to drag it on too long. We'll look at using your actions tab later in another video. That will be the end of that. Thanks for listening. Hope you have no trouble. Any trouble, ask me when we're playing or see me somewhere at school.